Good afternoon. Glad to have you at the Tuesday, May 28th, Davidson County Commissioner meeting. Mr. Shell, if you'll lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance, sir.
Thank you. Be it honored, sir. For those of you who'd like to join me, our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together as a free people. Father, please forgive us when we overlook the blessings that you have bestowed upon us in favor of choosing to view the miseries that surround us at times, Father. It's only by your grace and your blessings that we are the greatest nation in the world. And it's only through your blessings and your determination, Father, to see us through that we will remain the greatest nation in the world. Father, if we come together as a government group and our citizens, in front of our citizens, we ask, Father, that we make decisions that will enhance the lives of all of our citizens. And we make them in your name, Father. For it is in the name of Jesus Christ I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good, thank you. Commissioner Shores, will you do the recognition of veterans, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we have any veterans with us tonight, could you please stand and be recognized? Any veterans? Please stand and be recognized. And if we've not given you one of these pens, okay.
Thank you for your service.
Appreciate your service.
Mr. Jones, Mr. Smith, items 3C, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to ask Richard to come up and recognize a couple of awards the Transportation Department has received recently.
Good evening.
How you doing, Mr. Jones?
Doing good, thank you. Come on up, Bill. At the this year's North Carolina Public Transportation Association rodeo, bus rodeo, Bill was our first-time participant in the rodeo and placed fourth, and we're happy and proud of him for doing that. It's the first time we've had a driver participate at all in the rodeo, and it's a statewide event. I think it was, 40
participants, and we beat people from Wake and Charlotte and Mecklenburg and, some of the big heavy hitters, Greensboro. And a lot of them brought a lot of folks with them. They brought 4 or 5 people. They had a lot of camaraderie. And this event's been going on for 20 years. Now, I know we've been in existence for about 14 and guessing in our system, but hopefully next year I can convince some of the other folks that it's a lot of fun and we should get out there and represent Davidson County, because I was it.
Yeah, he was a couple turn signals away from being in second, so if he'd remember that turn signal.
We'll put him a sign up next time that says turn signal.
Yep. He won this nice little trophy and then a nice big check.
Yep.
Yeah, $50.
Fantastic.
First place got $500.
Fantastic.
And I'm thinking, if you told me that ahead of time, I would have really come.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you. Fine.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3.
Good job. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night. We also had the honor of receiving the safety award again. This is the second time we received this, I think in the last 5 years. This is for systems traveling less than 500,000 miles in a year. And what this was recognizing that we didn't have any injuries or reportable accidents to the Federal Transportation Administration. You know, little things here and there, but nothing major or big. So we're happy and proud to receive this award. This really goes to David Allen, our trainer, who spends a lot of time working with the drivers on Smith System safety training. And so we're wanted to share that with y'all.
Fantastic.
Thank you, thank you.
Great job, guys.
Yeah,
Thank y'all.
good job. Is Travis Stewart here tonight? Travis, how you doing? Glad to have you here on behalf of Lexington Chamber of Commerce. Appreciate you coming out. All right, let's get to Miss Central Carolina and Miss Central Carolina Teen. Miss Harris, will you lead this off, please? Come on forward, yeah.
Come on board. Pageant coordinator Mary Hines has reached out to us over the summer and wanted to introduce us to our queens that represent out in the county versus inside the city. So today we've got Keely Jones, who is Miss Central Carolina,
Hey.
and Savannah Holland, who is Miss Central Carolina Teen, and they're going to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they're doing.
Awesome. Yep.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Savannah Holland.
And my name is Keely Jones.
So both of us are competing for the titles of Miss North Carolina and Miss North Carolina's Teen in just a month. But part of competing in that organization is that we have to have community service initiatives. So a little bit about mine. It's called Donating for DBA. It's inspired by my Nana, who had a rare blood disease called diamond black vein anemia and was completely blood transfusion dependent her whole life. Because of blood donation, I'm here today, so I love to give back in a way that's given so much to me.
And my community service initiative is also a North Carolina registered nonprofit called Crying Out Loud. It's centered around mental health awareness and suicide prevention. I feel like that's one of the most important concepts that we need to make very apparent and aware so that we can continue to hold the title of the greatest nation in the world. We need to make sure that we are recognizing mental health as a serious, disorder that some people deal with, and so we can handle it properly and make sure that we get our suicide rates down to zero. Why am I up here talking about this today? I'm essentially asking for your support and recognition. I brought some business cards that I would love to give to all of you so that you can keep up with my nonprofit and we can continue to promote the importance of this message so that, like I said, we can get our suicide rates down to zero.
Very good public speaking on both of y'all.
Thank you.
You can give us a card too if you'd like to go ahead and do that.
Here you are. Okay.
Thank you.
My nonprofit information is right on the back there for you, very easy to access. I've also got
Thank you.
email and that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll take pictures too.
One for y'all.
Thank you.
All right, give these young ladies a round of applause, please. Yeah.
One, two, three. One, two, three. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We got another one here.
And Mr. Chairman, I've heard back from both Commissioners Elliott and McClure. They are both not going to be here this evening.
Okay, all right. All right, let's move on to F, recognition Trish Baker. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If Trish is here, I'm going to ask her to come forward. This is a pretty big deal that some of you were in on last week and knew about.
You gotta bring the piece of wood with you, okay? All right, I wanna make sure it's over here, okay?
My Olympic,
Yeah,
something.
all right, go ahead.
To sum it up, and I'm going to let her do all the talking, but Trish is basically the 2025 North Carolina DSS Director of the Year from the DSS Directors Association.
Outstanding.
I think that's enough said there. I mean, you all know it was in rightful beats in the conference and the whole 9 yards, but I don't know that we've had a director in my 10 years here being not just nominated, but get something of this nature. So it's definitely worth recognizing, and I wanted the whole board to hear it. So I'm going to turn it over to Trish.
I don't really have, a lot to say, except I do enjoy what I do. I wouldn't do it if I didn't, and I enjoy serving the population of Davidson County. So this was a nice honor, but I would do it even without that. So, thank y'all.
Very good. Ms. Watford, would you like to say something?
What I'd like to tell you all that, Commissioner Yates and myself were, helped to hire Trish, and we felt very, very good about her when she first came and have never changed our minds. I was able to surprise her that Debbie Harris and myself, went down to Wilmington. She knew nothing, and if you could have seen her face, it was wonderful. But she has been a wonderful director. We hope she'll stay for a long time. She works very, very hard for us. We're very close to her, and we are very, very proud that her peers chose her to receive this award this year. Thank you.
And the accolades that were spoken during the award presentation were incredible.
They were incredible.
And I just want to tell you thank you for what you do for our citizens. They don't realize that you work behind the scenes. She leaves this building at 7, 8, and 9 o'clock at night, most every night. Works weekends, so thank you very much. They don't know, but I do, and this board does, so thank you for what you do. Anybody else like to say anything?
Trish, it's no secret, I keep an eye on you a lot. But it's a good eye, and I've been very pleased with what I saw. The challenges that you have to meet is beyond the conscience of most people. It's like Chairman Yates said, people don't realize what a contribution you make and the problems that you have to face on a daily basis. And the sad part about your job is you have to take that home with you a lot of times, and that's sad. Your family don't deserve that. So I want to thank you personally because foster care, things of that nature, I've got a personal allegiance to, and you have stepped up beyond it. So it's no surprise to me you got that. None whatsoever. Thank you, Trish.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last but not least, Trish, I know you was, and that's why I was trying to catch you. Trish, I just wanted you to say how much I appreciate everything you've ever done. I know I've never called you, and I've called you late at night, all kinds of hours and everything else, and you're Johnny on the spot. So I appreciate everything you do, and I just reiterate everything that's been said here so far. But thank you so much, and we do appreciate you. I think you ought to let me hold that, okay?
No, you will.
That's nice.
That's nice.
I wanted to touch it, though.
Just a little bit. There we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, register for public address. If you hadn't done so, the clipboard's up here. Please sign up for public address. Can I get the adoption of the agenda? We need to pull.
Mr. Chair, could we excuse Commissioner?
Yeah, we will in a minute, yeah.
Okay. All right.
We will in a minute. Adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, we do need to pull the economic development.
We pulling that one off?
Yeah.
Okay.
What number? What's that?
Yeah, what number is it?
Bottom, the closed session at the bottom.
Oh, so it's coming out of closed
I
session?
remember. That's the reason I was asking. And I didn't see it in that.
That just came up within about past 15 or 20 minutes.
Really? Okay. All right, we have a motion, do we have a motion to approve the amended agenda with ED?
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Anybody signed up for public address?
Yes, sir, we have 2 signed up.
Susan and Kip Harmon. come forward, please. Good afternoon.
Hello, thank you for letting us come in.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, somebody's gonna set a clock, I imagine.
Yeah, she'll probably put you on about 3 minutes over
Well,
there, but
I wanna pass these out first, if that's all right.
it's fine, yep.
It's just an a Google view of the property that I'm talking about. Okay, I've been in here before once. We didn't speak in front of the group, but we came up and spoke to some of you separately. I've talked to Jason before. I've talked to Scott Leonard a lot, more than he would like, I'm sure. But, the problem is that we are dealing with water runoff from the Hickory Ridge development. We've been dealing with this for a year. The project started 3 years ago, but runoff started a year ago when retaining ponds were filled in and then they built houses on top of them. Thousands of gallons of water have poured across the new development, across our property and other people in the neighborhood too, which we have a group of people from the neighborhood here. And you think thousands of gallons is exaggerated? It is not. Because I have videos and pictures, and I've shared that with our county officials and the Inspector General's office for the DOT of North Carolina. The DOT and Planning and Zoning have helped us a lot. The builder and developer have fixed our driveway many times, but nothing stops the water from coming from across the road. Every rain brings anxiety to our home. I don't care how many calculations they have, because some people have given me this, how they figured out how they were gonna, manage the water. And the calculations don't work. Nothing works. Everything they said was based on a 20-year flood zone. And we've had like about 20-year floods in the past year. So that just doesn't work. And the map I showed you should have alerted somebody to the possibility of what was going to happen on that property when they cleared all the trees. They did try to help. They brought gravel in. They fixed our driveway. Most of the gravel washed into High Rock Lake with one hard rain. It just washed into the lake. So we've been dealing with this for a long time. I've spoken to, like I said, Scott. He's tried a lot to help us, but something's got to be done, because we cannot continue to live like this. And it's not our fault, and I don't think it should be fixed on our property. Again, there are other people in the community that are suffering the same way that we are. I have flower beds that have been buried in gravel. It was on our front porch. They came and they did scrape it, and they fixed that, but the next rain, it's right back again. The DOT came and they changed pipes, they upgraded, but there's other problems, and 3 minutes isn't enough time to talk about it. So we've been without our driveway since, what did I tell you, April 11th. Half of our driveway is unusable and has been for too long. When they built Hickory Point, they put in pipes from the road to the lake to carry water, and that was probably in the 60s maybe. I don't really know for sure. But the DOT says they are not responsible for those pipes, and now our pipe is not working. We've lived there 34 years, and it worked all that time. Excuse me?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. Well, I do have lots of pictures. Another neighbor brought pictures that she's going to pass out to you of her property. And we just don't want people to continue to go through this in Davidson County. And y'all said you were going to go into closed session for economic development. Well, if that's going to be a big part of this county, then people need to be prepared, because these things are going to happen. And we should protect High Rock Lake the best we can. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dreama Keaty? Kilty? There you go. I see the L now. How are you?
Okay, this is before and after. And this is what a flood looks like. Please pass these around.
Is this your home?
That is, no, this is across the street, directly across from me, a corner that has no ditch.
So you live right here?
Yes, I live
Okay.
right here across the street.
Okay.
In the established house.
Yes, ma'am.
All those are the new ones. They have done nothing. I say that in the fact that DOT has been out there, just like she said, put new pipes down. But as DOT came out there, they came out there with D.R. Horton, and I was a witness to it, stood, listened to them. And the D.R. Horton person stood on the pipe area at that time that had not been improved and said, something has got to be done about this. Y'all have got to dig a ditch. I don't care who does it, but we have got to have a ditch put here because it's a waterfall over into my house, and that's what you get. I don't care if it's a half inch. If it's a half inch in 15 minutes, that's what we get. Our neighbors are suffering all along the street. It's not just me. Mine was one of the first to just really get bombarded, besides Susan's. And I'm just here to say that whatever you can do for us to stop D.R. Horton from, they're finished building now. They've got one house that's not sold. And I've been told that when it sells, they're done. They're not going to do anything. If there's anything that you can do to help us in this regard, to stop them from leaving us high and dry. I've had an estimated $5,000 repair to my yard to divert that water that you see. And there's many more houses on our street that have that same, if not worse, condition. And I just want y'all to do what you can to help us through this. I appreciate your time. And that whole row, there's about 15 neighbors here. We are here in force, concerned about what this is doing to our neighborhood and our homes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I don't know. Scott, if you could kind of give us an update, please, on that.
Been in contact with the developer. The developer and the builder have reached an agreement that this is a developer situation more than the builder, so D.R. Horton, don't know how those negotiations came about, but the D.R. Horton is probably going to walk away from this. The developer, because the county could not require him to come back because we don't have a stormwater ordinance, we really had nothing but just discussions with him. He agrees to go ahead and help Susan's property because she seems to be the worst.
This is the developer, right?
This is the developer. The developer has agreed to go in there and replace her pipe.
Name?
His name's Justin Nifong.
Okay.
And Justin's a reputable guy. I told Susan, I believe Justin will take care of this, and I believe he is. He's asked Susan to sign a document relieving him of certain liabilities when he comes onto her property. And as soon as that's signed, we're hoping that what he does with Susan will take care of that. He's going to replace the pipe and try to give the water a chance to get out from washing her driveway away. There are other sites along this peninsula that this development impacted, and I can't speak for Justin on the other. Part of a developer's worry is that if he helps one, does he have to help all? And he doesn't know how many, or I can't speak for him on how many he knows. We've had calls on several of the properties. Miss Peggy Smith has contacted us, other individuals, and we have had D.R. Horton work with them to try to get some ditch lines on the other side. Susan's got the worst that I've seen, and we're hoping that Justin will take care of this. He told me he's going to try it this week. He needs a pathway of dry days to get the equipment in there, and that's what we're hoping is for. And I've told him we've got all this week left that it's supposed to be dry. So, but the pictures that this lady, I don't know where she is located. I don't doubt what she's telling you a bit, but because we don't have a stormwater ordinance, we really couldn't stop the worst part of development in today's world is mass grading. We couldn't stop it. We can't prohibit it. And when you wipe out every tree on the property, this is the kind of stuff we get. Now, the board has made changes in our developmental regulations. You're increased the lot sizes. It slowed down development. It stopped the number of houses being built. And I've told Susan that, you know, we've taken measures to try to fix this by spreading homes apart and slowing it down, but what's happened here is done, and we're just trying to patch it up the best we can with what little enforcement power we have at the county level.
Okay. Here's some pictures if you wanna come get them, Scott. You can look them over and then give them back to her when you get through. Thank you very much, Scott, for that update, and keep us posted, will you?
Yes.
All right. Public hearing, 7A, Mr. Smith, 2024-2025 budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May 13th, I delivered the proposed budget, or manager's recommended budget to the board. Tonight's the night where we hear from the public about the proposed budget. And on, I think, the Thursday morning meeting for June, which will be 6/6, I believe.
June 6th.
Yeah, we'll have our discussions at our work session further about the budget and maybe any board changes at that point. So tonight's for the public, Mr. Chairman. I open it up to you to
June
take care of
6th.
that.
All right, this is a public hearing. I'm gonna declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to speak, about the, 2024-2025 budget?
Good evening, Chairman Yates, and ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Commissioners. Sorry, I almost said education because I'm so used to saying that. My name is Greg Slate, Superintendent of Davidson County Schools. First, I'd like to thank the Board of Commissioners for the continued support of Davidson County Schools. With over 3.3 million in square footage, 2,583 employees, Davidson County Schools is the largest employer in our county. The support from the Commission over the past several years has provided basic sustainable needs for the operation of our schools. However, I come before you today with a matter of utmost importance: the need to increase county expenditures by $2,020,000 for critical areas within our school system above the proposed allotment. Specifically, this increase is vital for funding school nurses and providing salary supplements for our hardworking teachers. Allow me to illuminate why this is not just a matter of choice, but a necessity for the well-being and the future of our county. First and foremost, I would like to speak about school nurses. As we all know, our students' health is paramount to their ability to learn and thrive in the classroom. However, the current allocation for school nurses is 5 at our current county level. This is insufficient to meet the growing needs of our student population. The state of North Carolina has set an expectation of 13 nurses for a county our size. With the rise of chronic illnesses, mental health concerns, and other medical needs among our youth, we must ensure that every school has adequate nursing staff to provide timely care and support to our students. Increasing county expenditures to fund additional nurses is not just a matter of health, it's an investment in the academic success and future prosperity of our students. Furthermore, our teachers are also the backbone of our educational system. They dedicate their lives to shaping the minds of the next generation, yet many are struggling to make ends meet due to the stagnant salaries and rising cost of living. Davidson County Schools has been unable to increase our meager 6.125 teacher supplement since 2006. I'm going to say that again. We have not been able to increase our supplement since 2006. This inability to increase teacher supplements has our county falling behind neighboring counties such as Randolph, Davie, and Rowan. We have lost 98 teachers to neighboring districts, with over 30 being lost to the aforementioned counties with supplements of 8 to 10%. The additional funding would increase our supplement to 7%. By providing salary supplement increases, we can attract and retain top talent in our schools, ensuring that our students receive the quality education they deserve. Additionally, we must address the impact of inflation, state-mandated salary increases, rising retirement rates, and escalating health care costs. Failure to do so will only exacerbate the teacher shortage and shortage crisis and compromise the quality of education in our county. Additionally, the recent loss of federal ESSER dollars has left a gaping hole in many education budgets nationwide, further highlighting the urgency of increasing our county expenditures, particularly here in Davidson County. These funds were crucial in supporting the physical and mental health of students, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now more than ever, we must step in to fill this void and provide the necessary resources to ensure the well-being of our youth. Our students deserve access to high-quality health care services, including mental health support, and it's our duty to provide them with the necessary resources to thrive. In conclusion, the need to increase county expenditures by $2,020,000 for school nurses and teacher salary supplements is not just a discussion topic. It's an imperative. We cannot afford to compromise on the health and education of our students. I urge each of you to support the proposal and prioritize the well-being and future success of our county's children. Thank you for your time and support of Davidson County Schools and our children. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. You got a question?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Slayton, we do have a question here.
Mr. Slate, I'm interested in
Yes,
hearing
sir.
from you. What is the efficiency rate of our students in the county?
I can't hear you.
What is the efficiency rate of our students in the county?
Proficiency or efficiency?
Efficiency.
I'm not sure exactly what I mean by efficiency.
The level, the grade level, or our students up
Okay,
to grade
so,
level,
yeah, so it depends on per school, but we're averaging between 70 to 80% students on grade level.
And so you're saying that our students are 70 or 80% equal to students in other countries or other municipalities?
No, what I'm saying is according across the state, we have about 70% of our students performing on grade level. So we're not performing, that's not really comparing us to other counties. That's just saying here we are on a state test. Here's the flat rate for.
Commissioner Watford, am I asking that question right? You know what I'm trying to get at. Am I asking it right? Not being in the education field, I'm not sure that I'm getting them. Because I've read in the past that our students are suffering.
They are suffering.
But if they're doing 70, 80%, that's not bad.
Well, you've got 30% of our kids.
Because I've heard it's a lot lower than that.
Well, we should be a lot better than that. I think we are the greatest county in this state, and I think we should be performing at a higher level.
Okay.
And I honestly believe that we can go from good, which is where we're at, to great if we can keep and retain the talent of our teachers and not lose them to neighboring districts. I'm not asking to compete with Winston-Salem Forsyth. I'm not asking to compete with Guilford.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to compete with the smaller counties around us that have increased their supplement, that are driving over 30 teachers away from us over the past year. We're losing over $30,000 in professional development per teacher. That's painful. That's a lot of knowledge walking out the door. And then when we start looking at the increased number of student health crises that we're dealing with, whether it's mental or physical health post-pandemic, the need for nurses is greater now more than ever.
And let me make this clear. I wasn't asking that question to demean our teachers.
No, sir.
Our teachers are forced to teach what is before them. And that's not necessarily their choice, and I think you know that. And so our teachers need to be paid a decent salary.
I agree.
But they don't need to be force-fed education to teach their students. They know far better than Washington does what our people need in this county, what our students need in this county. And so that was my point. It wasn't to demean the teachers. I wouldn't have the job. I'm going to tell you, that's a tough job.
It is, sir.
Thank you.
So I'm going to piggyback on his question. What's the proficiency rate compared to our neighboring counties with our school system against theirs?
Depending on which ones you go to. So, Davie, we're behind. Randolph.
How far behind are we?
I would have to give you specific numbers, and I don't know.
Yeah, see, I need those specific numbers.
I'll be more than happy to get them for you, Chairman Yates. We're above Rowan. We are, in some cases, behind Winston, in some cases above, depending on which schools. Randolph, we're about even. And Guilford, the same with Winston. We're some higher, some lower. It just depends on which schools, because the way that the North Carolina School Report Card rolls out, it's based on each school, not necessarily, you can look at a whole school system, but you're comparing apples and oranges at that
So
point.
Stanley County, how do we compare with Stanley?
Stanley, we're slightly above.
Slightly above Stanley?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, if you could get me those numbers and
I
pass
most
them
certainly
along
will.
to Casey there, and he can pass them to
We
the
will
rest
take
of the
care of
board.
that.
Anybody else got any questions?
I've got a question just about the number of nurses. We have 5 that work the entire county. So, you know, we're talking about several schools, you know. So I guess they go from day to day, one
So-
day here, one day there, or half days, or That's
So
kind of
currently,
schedule.
Commissioner Watford, what we are doing is we have used ESSER funding
Mhm.
to fund Maxim nurses. So we have hired that out. Now, ESSER funding sunsets at the end of this year.
Okay.
It is gone. So all federal dollars are gone by the end of this year that have helped support additional nursing.
Okay.
So we will have 5 county-funded nurses to cover 35 schools.
I thought we had more than that.
So we will have that after the federal funds go away, right?
That we've had that 5, and then we funded in addition to that 5.
So you had 10 nurses, now you're going down to 5, correct?
No, we have 5 that are funded by the county commissioners, by y'all. And then we use ESSER dollars to fund a Maxim contract that, with Maxim, a private entity who's come and who's paid for nurses to go to other schools to help supplement those 5.
And how many nurses is that?
10.
10.
Yes, 5 and 5, so thank you.
And how many does the health department pay for?
That's the 5.
That's the 5 that you're saying the county?
That's the 5 that the county provides, yes, sir.
I have one other question, Mr. Chairman. Sir, the money, the extra monies, and Casey, I may need your help, because I always get these articles mixed up, but 44 and 46, is that correct? The articles?
44. Those are sales tax articles, right?
Right, but there's extra money there that comes in, and one of those can go, must go to the school, and one of those.
And that's partly what we use to give them what we increased the proposed budget by, right?
That's been, over the last couple of years, it's been right at 2 million, is that correct?
No, both those articles together are probably 10 to 11.
Okay, in extra, but I'm talking about the extra.
It depends. This year we had, I think it was 700,000 or 800,000, and you allocated them to projects.
Right. But over the last couple of years, the extra has been almost 2 million, I believe is the conversation you and I had.
It maybe not, I don't think it's quite that much, but my point in saying this, let me see if I can pull it back around. If we've got extra, because we've lowballed the projection, say in July, and then we get to next spring, we're gonna come to you with, hey, we think we can make 500,000 more between these 2 articles. We'd like to do these school projects like we did this year. Every year that I build a budget, though, I try to get a little bit more aggressive with it, because that's what pays for a lot of, we'll throw county money in it as well, but also that's what's helping drive some of the funds that we give to education. So, I mean, it's, now to get to where Dr. Slayton wants to be, if you're trying to get to 7%, or I guess you eventually want to get to 8%, but to get to 7, if he thinks it needs to be another $1 million, you gotta remember you're allocating that through the ADM. So you would end up having to give it also to Thomasville and Lexington to keep the ADM number the same. I think it's gonna run us about $1.3 million to make that happen, above and beyond where we are sitting today. I found a report card, website, Mr. Chairman, that you can click on. I'll try to summarize a little bit better and send it to the board here in just a few minutes. But it shows how many schools within each county, or within each district, let's just call it that, 'cause some counties have city districts too. How many are performing at grade level, and how many are not. So you can click on any county in the state and see that, and that's coming from DPI.
So, back to what I was trying to say, is it's roughly just under $1.5 million over the last couple of years extra, above and beyond what we've been giving the schools. So, when we've given that money, it's been the intention that go to teachers, but we're hearing that has not went to teachers. So can we hear where that money actually went to?
So, Commissioner Shores, what's happening is every year the state of North Carolina is increasing cost of living, increasing teacher salaries, it's increasing hospitalization, increasing retirement. All of those things for local-based employees has to be absorbed out of the money you're talking about, out of that extra $1 million or $2 million over the past couple of years. Then you throw in also capital projects that has to be funded. For example, we've exhausted all of our capital funding. We still have HVAC and a roof at Silver Valley that needs to be completed that were supposed to be for this year. We ran out of money. So those are things that have to go there. So I'm staring at inconsistent HVAC at Silver Valley Elementary right now. I'm looking at a roof that leaks. So those are things that when we run out of money, that's where we just run out of money. And so that extra funding goes to pay for the things that the state says we have to pay for. And it's just barely enough to get us there sometimes, so that's why we're just barely sustaining. So it's not improving that teacher supplement, to your point. What it's doing is it's going to, the state says you have to fund this, we have to fund this. And we have to find money to fund it, and it's coming from local allotment that you guys give us, and we're grateful for that. But we need above and beyond that so we can compete with our neighboring counties on that teacher piece.
And again, sir, I'm not, this is not argumentative, I just.
No, sir.
Complete transparency. One other question, Mr. Chairman. I don't know what the title of it is in your bookkeeping, I call it a rainy day or slush fund, $11 million that the school has. Where do you stand with utilizing any of that for some of this stuff?
And correct me if I'm wrong, over the past year, we've used $2 million on average over the past couple of years. We'll use the $2 million and then we'll get it back a little bit and then we'll use it again. We have to have that amount of money by our Board of Education for additional operating funds. We have to have roughly 90 days in that fund balance by state statute,
So your 90-day fund balance is $11 million?
It's right around, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, just our payroll is $4 to $5 million a month.
Yeah, $4 to $5 million a month. So we're running technically a little bit below what we should be running at.
Okay.
So what is your fund balance? I'm sorry. How much do you have fund balance?
The fund balance at the end of last year was $6.9 million, and we used $2.1 million of fund balance last year.
So what is your fund balance
now?
At this very moment, I can't tell you, but it looks like we're going to use another over $2 million this year.
Okay.
I didn't hear what
We're
you
going to
said.
use, we were at 6.9 last year, and right now it looks like we're going to use another $2 million this year out of our own fund balance.
So, but would your fund balance now be greater than the 6.9, or would it be?
No,
It'd be less? Okay. Because I'd heard 11 million about not very long ago. No? Okay. So is it mandatory that the state, that you keep 90 days in your fund balance?
That's the recommendation. It's not, I
But
don't
it's
know
not
that there's, I don't
mandatory?
know that there's a state mandate, but that.
Because I know some school systems have like no money in the bank, so.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about those folks.
Okay, I know
Those
you
folks
don't.
are in the red,
I
and
just wanna let you
they
know.
keep losing folks too, left and right.
They don't sell donuts and they don't have fundraisers. All their money comes to.
The bake sales there are not as good as they are here.
Right. All right, is that it? Everybody good?
I got one more, Matt.
Go ahead, Matt.
Just one more. Dr. Slate, you had mentioned some of the teachers moving to some of the neighboring counties.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me the number again? And then the other half of that question would be, if there were any exit surveys, the reason they left this county and went to those, was it a financial reason?
So I'll go backwards on that question, and the answer to the last question is yes.
Okay.
Almost all of them cited more money. 98 teachers left to go to neighboring districts. 32, I know that number right off the top of my head, went to Randolph, Davie, and Rowan.
Okay, or, Matt,
Yeah, go ahead.
you were, stating about the state mandating for the coming year. Do you already know what they're mandating for you to spend on for the coming year?
We have the current budget, but of course, there's a short session right now in Raleigh, and if they do teacher raises like they're alleging that they will, and we don't know if they will, but if they do that, then there will be additional raises that will come out of what we have to spend money on as well. Our current budget, how much do we need to spend that the state's allocating? It's a 3% increase? It's a 3% increase currently for all teacher salaries. So all locally funded teachers, TAs, those folks have to get that as well.
Thank you.
I got a question for you, Casey. You done a little bit of this research on these 98 people leaving. Didn't you research some other counties surrounding us, and they had about equal amount or more people leaving their, counties as well, or?
What I did was ask Dr. Slate for the ins and outs. You don't just need to look at how many left, you also hired some during that time.
Right.
So that's what's called the vacancy rate. At any given time, that moves, right? Tomorrow it's a different number if you hire somebody else or you lose somebody else. Our percentage is about 5. Randolph's about 3.5. If you juxtapose that against the local supplement and also the state supplement, I think that's a key piece of this conversation. And I'll use Davy as an example. I mean, Davy gets $3,300 a teacher, and it's based on a formula. You know, the distress of your county, how much, you know, economic activity you got, your tax rate, et cetera. But Davie County is not a lot different from us, in my opinion, and gets $3,400 a teacher with a 10% local supplement. Here we are at 6.1 and get $1,700 a teacher. To me, that's not fair. I don't care what the state says. That means their formula is wrong, in my opinion, because Davie County is not that much different from Davidson County. Also, Winston-Salem Forsyth gets $1,200 a teacher and has about a 15% local supplement.
Yeah.
Why are they getting anything at all? So there's some problems on the state supplement side as well. The budget that Dr. Slate's referring to is the governor's proposed budget. Remember that. That budget is likely not to pass,
right,
especially not at 8.5% for teachers. The proposal on the floor is 3%.
correct.
Now, will that take all of the $900,000 additionally that we provide the schools? I don't know. But the other thing is the 28 that got lost between Davie County, Rowan County, and Randolph. If we're only going to go from 6.1 to 7, that's 0.9 of a point. I don't know how many of those 28 people would come back for 0.9 of a point, especially if the state supplement is an odd number, if that makes sense. Now, you lost 60% of the people on that list of the 98 to Guilford and Winston's Forsyth. Their supplements are double digits, triple R's. We don't have the funds at 54 cents to go to 15% local supplements in this county, not without a tax increase.
A big tax increase.
Correct. So, I mean, that's why that's not in the proposal. So I would say majority of our competition is those two entities. And I would agree with Dr. Slate. We lost those two. If you're going to offer 15% local supplement in another county and somebody at 6, that's probably a money differential. I'm not sure 0.9 of a point pulled somebody to another county. I don't know. Your exit interview idea is a great one because you need to know those things. Did you leave? You know, are you leaving because of money?
Did you leave for that 1%?
Right. Did you leave for 0.9 of a point? So those are some things fighting against us here. But that state supplement side, the table I've sent you guys with that in there, you know, what I want you to see is all this conversation in one place, which is the local supplement, how much is the vacancy rate at that time, and we're still waiting, I think, Winston-Salem's and Rowan's.
Yeah.
And I think we got Thomasville and Lexington's as well. And so you can see what the local supplement is, you can see what the vacancy rate is, and what the state supplement is. And again, that's something we can, and I've already had that conversation with Sam, Larry, and Steve about why is it that this formula at DPI is what they, I mean, again, explain to me why Davie gets twice as much money per teacher for state supplement than we do. It doesn't make any sense to me. And that's obviously not something within our control other than we can talk to our delegation and see what we can get done. Or maybe they need to adjust the formula or something of that nature.
If I may, I know that 0.9 of a point may not keep somebody here necessarily, but it shows that we're making a good faith effort to try to get closer to the 8, to get closer to the 10 that the Archdale Trinity area offers. It gives us the ability to say, hey, we're moving in the right direction. Don't leave us. We've invested money in you. We want you to stay and teach our children because we believe in you. And so it gives us that ability. But if we sit here and say, no, we're going to stay at the same rate we were in 2006, that also sends a message to our teachers as well. And I'm very concerned about that.
One other quick point, Tom, to your question that you asked about the $1.2 million given in the last few years. You remember the chart I showed when I gave you guys the budget where this is what we've spent our money on in the last 10 years. Well, the percentage of giving money to capital has been pretty high.
Yeah.
But the operating side, when I first got here the first few years, we kind of grew as the budget grew. And if our budget didn't grow but 1.5%, that's kind of what we grew the per pupil. Here lately, probably since you've been on the board, Commissioner Shores, we've moved that up, because remember, we had this conversation long before you got here, Dr. Slade.
Yeah.
We wanted to be on the better side, hopefully of 50% on the ADM. I'm talking with it all in, debt, capital, the whole thing. The state likes to just give just the operating piece. I think that's pretty unfair as well, because $11 million of our $15 million debt service budget is for schools. So that's an expense, right? It's not an expense inside the classroom other than it helped build classrooms or it helped build schools, it helped supply sewer to schools, et cetera. So my point in saying that, or capital, you're helping with the roof that leaks or you're helping with HVAC, et cetera. But my point is, if the state, a lot of times what they've done is they've gone above, like this proposal, 8.5% from Governor Cooper, likely not to happen. Probably the 3 is going to be more closer in line of what's going to come out of this. But in years past, because of the strong lobby from the teachers, they get the 7% raises or the 8% raises. And so he's right. He's got teachers on local dollars and state dollars. If the state dollars come through at 8, it's hard to go to the teacher that gets paid off the local dollars and say, sorry, you don't get the same percentage. I got that. You know, I think Thomasville and Lexington may not have quite those challenges because they would have had the ability with a smaller staff to move some of their people over to the state dollars. So when that happens, they don't have that issue. Dr. Slade's probably got a bigger staff. You know, it's harder to do. But in this particular year that we're talking about, so in the past, Commissioner Shores, what we wanted to do was, and I thought so as well until I had a conversation with Dr. Slade about, you know, the million so we've been getting in there, it's not being able to, that's why you heard that on the street, that it wasn't going to the supplement because it was going to match the pay raises the state was providing. And so this year in particular, I don't know that the state will do 8%. And so I don't know if at 3, there's an opportunity for you to do that, plus go to the 7, et cetera. I'm not sure. Only you know that.
We'd have to crunch that. But
And then what? Because the plan was over time. We knew we couldn't get from 6 to 8 in 1 year.
No.
So we wanted to do it over a couple of years, right? We wanted to try to get to 7 1 year and then 8 the next year. Well, what I didn't know, what was not going on behind the scenes, was the state taking their pay increase up and our local dollars having to go to match it. And so that ate all the dollars, and then the supplement didn't move.
My point was, Dr. Slate, again, it's not derogatory at all. It is this board's intention that we give that extra money to the school system for raises for the teachers. And that's my point is, you know, every one of us sitting here wants the teachers to have what they need.
I appreciate that.
You know, it's not we're not giving a money type deal. Just like my understanding of this whole ordeal and several of us here, until Casey brought it back to our attention, that the state was coming in and taking that money. So in our eyes, that 1.2 was going to your teachers, but I'm talking to teachers and they say they're not getting that money.
No,
so
because
I just wanted to be clear why I was asking those questions.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that because that helps illuminate the need for it for y'all.
Yeah.
That helps show that what the state's doing is counterproductive, so to speak. It hurts us with our local dollars that we receive from y'all. So we're grateful for anything.
Commissioner Shell's got a question.
First, I want to clarify something with Casey. I heard Dr. Slate say that they have to pull money from either your budget or the fund balance for HC units or roofs. Is that correct?
For fund balance?
We're responsible for that, correct? We're the ones that give you that money. You don't have to pull it from anywhere because we give it to you. Now, am I misled on that, Dr. Slate?
No, once it's gone, though. And then, you know, things go up and they're more expensive. And I know that Mr. Smith would highlight this, that y'all give us a certain amount of capital expense. We spend what you give us on our capital projects, on HVAC, on roofs, on things of that nature. But eventually, the money runs out.
The problem is, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I may be wrong, is you come to us and you ask for X amount of dollars in capital improvement needs, and it's 10 years down the road and you still haven't used that and hadn't fixed that. So, yes, for 10 years, things are going to be much higher. So, but my question is, why would you come 10 years earlier and request that money that you have no intention of using?
I can't speak for what happened 10 years ago.
That might be something you want to look into, but
I appreciate
that does get a little bit frustrating when you start, well, wait a minute, you're holding X amount of dollars over here, that you came to us and said, we gotta fix this problem, and it's been 10 years, and we haven't fixed it yet. So where's the money, you know? And then, you're right, in 10 years, that price has tripled or more. But, I mean, that's just something I'd like for you to take a look at.
I'll be more than happy to take a look at that. I'll be more than happy to.
Because it's the county that funds that HC, and it's the county that funds those roofs. And I don't want people not to think that we're not investing our money in our schools, because like Mr. Shore said, there's not a commissioner up here is not for our teachers and for our education system, but more importantly, I gotta be honest with you, I'm for the students more.
Same here.
Okay,
Same
here. Thank you.
We're spot on with that.
One other quick question, and we'll
Yes,
move
Mr.
on. Student population in Davidson County Schools,
18,656.
up or down? Is it going up or down?
It's gonna be going up, because we're building the neighborhoods that are being built on the northern side of the county. Currently, we have the last time I checked, we have 3 1,000-unit neighborhoods going up on the northern portion of the county. We have 2 600-unit neighborhoods going up on the western portion of the county, and 1 300-unit going up on the eastern portion of the county. All of those people, I would say a good chunk of them are gonna have kids. And so therefore, our student body will go up.
So last year to this year, did it increase or decrease?
Held steady, within, several hundred.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Have a good evening, thank y'all.
He said 18,256.
Anybody else wishing to speak in favor?
Good evening. I'm Jenny Varner, and I'm honored to be serving as the new president of Davidson-Davie Community College. As some of you know, I'm new to the presidency since November following the loss of Dr. Hartness last summer, but I'm not new to the college or to this community. First, please know how grateful we are to be in a county that's so committed to the education of our future workforce. We appreciate everything you've done for these 61 years that our college has been here to help us be one of the most successful community colleges in our state. As we all know, the role of the county is in supporting the buildings and physical plant of our college, so I think it's worth repeating, and you've probably heard it before. We are one of the most beautiful community colleges in the state, and it's actually one of the things that people tell us most often. Your campus is nice and clean and welcoming. Your facilities are repaired and updated. The feel is friendly. In fact, I have to tell you that one of our basketball players who grew up in Charlotte and was recruited by a bunch of different schools, he said there's no comparison. The campus of Davidson-Davie is the best, and we have you to thank for that. Now, of course, the physical plant of the campus is not the only thing that matters, but it's a piece of the puzzle in putting together a quality education for our students, where they can study in modern facilities that are geared for the jobs of the future. Add that to our 40-plus programs of study and our continued top ratings on statewide performance measures, and you will know why our enrollment continues to climb. We were one of only 4 community colleges in North Carolina that didn't lose enrollment during the pandemic, and ever since, our numbers are still going up. More and more students are coming to college. On graduation day earlier this month, we had 1,120 graduates who earned a total of 1,365 credentials. That was 610 associate degrees, 126 diplomas, and 629 certificate and pathway completions. This past year, we've had 93 manufacturing apprentices, 15 healthcare apprentices, and a continually growing set of enrollment from high school students who are dually enrolled with us and with their high schools. As of today, our enrollment for summer is up at least 15% compared to this same day last year. But we still need more people to come to college, not necessarily for a 2-year degree, in some cases for a short-term program that allows them to be on the job quickly or to continue with a job that's requiring some additional training. But our state has set goals for the number of people who need college credentials by the year 2030, and we're not there yet, neither here nor anywhere else in the state. So we need more of our students to be thinking about going to college. So despite all our success and all that we have to be proud of, there's still a lot more work to do. I've talked to a lot of people in the last year about our first 60 years of the college and how the community came together to make sure we had a higher education option for Davidson County and all the people who were part of that. And now the question is, what does our next 60 years look like, and how will we all help continue to help our community do great things? So we appreciate your continued support of that work. We feel fortunate to be able to connect with Casey and his staff when we need them, and we do try to keep them updated on the needs we see coming a little further down the road. And you know better than anybody else on a regular, annual, ongoing basis. And that while we try to make it easy to have a beautiful, clean, and well-repaired campus, that it takes a lot of work and a lot of financial investment. So thank you again for the role you've played and will continue to play in our success at Davidson Davie. May I answer any questions?
Any questions? No, thank you.
I think y'all done a great job.
Thank you. We appreciate your support.
Good evening, Chairman Yates and our county commissioners. My name is Dr. Nakia Hardy. I'm the proud superintendent of Lexington City Schools. Thank you so much for having this public hearing. I do have some staff with us this evening. I have our board chair, Mr. Wall, who is in the audience. I also have Ms. Lisa Jones, Executive Director of Finance, Dr. Bruce Carroll, Executive Director of Human Resources, and Mr. Tim Curry, Director of Building Services. In your budget packet, which is quite large, I reviewed it this evening before coming, almost 600 pages. Our request is on page 192 as you're going through all of those materials. Lexington City Schools is requesting a 3% increase from last year. This would be $4 million and a little bit over $4 million operating cost and a little over $1.3 million in capital cost. This increase will provide funds for our local employees based on the state anticipated increases. It will also provide funding for our increased utility costs. It's also important to note that the cost per employee for benefits is significantly increasing. We are projecting this upcoming year will be $8,000, a little over $8,000, $8,095, and last year it was only $7,557. You'll also note that we do have some capital projects that we'll be using for that 1.3 if our request is granted, and that will help us specifically with paving some of our parking lots, patching some roofs on our facilities, flooring at our schools, and updating cameras and door access. We also need that funding to have regular maintenance on our maintenance vehicles, furniture for our schools such as desks, tables, and classrooms, and our common spaces such as our media center. It will also help us sustain the Apple initiative, which we're very proud of. Everyone in Lexington City Schools has an iPad, and that Apple initiative has really been helpful in improving our student outcomes over the past few years. You'll also see a slide there regarding our Fund 8 dollars. Know that those funds are restricted to those areas only. We are appreciative. We know that you have a lot of needs. Looking at that budget request seems a little bit overwhelming, and I know you'll hear from a lot of folks this evening requesting the dollars that we need. We hope that you would consider our 3% increase for the upcoming year. We are so appreciative of the funding that we have already received and will continue to receive for our middle school renovation project. Thank you for the support that we receive from Mr. Smith and his office. We have the privilege of serving almost 3,000 students and over 500 employees. Your support in approving this funding request will allow us to sustain our operations and provide the human and physical resources necessary for all of our children and most importantly for our community. This time I'll take any questions you may have.
I got one question. What is your proficiency rate?
We are at 43.6 proficient from the previous year.
Pretty low, huh?
It's not as high as we would like it. But we did have an increase in all of our schools, and all of our schools are no longer carry the low-performing identification.
What was it the year before, do you know?
39.8%.
So you're picking it up a little bit, huh?
Absolutely.
Moving in the right direction, for sure. All right, any other questions? Steve? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Hey,
My name is Gary Stires, Fire Chief with the Clemens Fire Department, and just wanted to address our request for a tax increase. And first, I want to thank the commissioners and definitely Mr. Smith and his staff in working with us. And as you may know, I'm took over as Fire Chief in Clemens about a year and a half ago, so some of the Davidson County stuff was kind of new, so I appreciate you guys working me through that, and Tim Manus as well, working us through that. So first things first is thank you for the support. We have submitted a tax increase to you guys to consider. This increase does match the Forsyth County request that we have submitted. The basics are, this helps with our increase in cost, like you've been hearing and probably will hear throughout the night, and as you deliberate your budget, definitely some increase in costs that we all know about. We are trying to work to replace some outdated equipment and then work to relieve the stress and the use of our fund balance and savings as we try to continue to operate. We definitely serve kind of a smaller part of Davidson County up to the north kind of over just a little bit, but obviously we'd like to provide the best service that we can to our citizens, and just like you as well, providing services that you provide. So just wanted to take the opportunity to come to Davidson County, to Lexington, to say thank you for your support and thank you for your consideration of this request, and definitely thanks for the staff input and help with us doing that. And thank you for everything that you do for us, and with that, I'll take any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
Remind us how much your increase you're asking.
So we're going from 6 cents to 10 cents.
Okay.
And so for the Davidson County, that takes us, I think last year we received $119,000. That'll take us to $199. And basics are that we're requesting the same increase in Forsyth County so that both counties would match, and the citizen would be paying the same amount in both places. Yes, ma'am. Good question. Thank you.
Going from 6 to 10, did I understand?
Yes, sir.
You?
Mm-hmm.
So, 2 of that would be Davidson and 2 would be Forsyth. Is that what you're saying?
No, sir. The rates would actually match. So we're running from a 6 cent tax rate to a 10 cent tax rate. So the request in Davidson is from 6 to 10. The request in Forsyth is 6 to 10.
How much territory are you covered in Davidson versus Forsyth?
So it's about don't know the exact number. It's about 3 square miles in Davidson. We're about 27 square miles in Forsyth. Most of the funding is in Forsyth. It's a smaller amount comes from Davidson. There's about 1,500 people at the last time we ran the GIS numbers, about 1,500 people in that little pocket, which is growing due to the Salem Glen area and some other little pockets sort of from Forsyth going down into Davidson. So that's kind of some brief demographics.
All your employees full-time?
So 26 full-time, 6 part-time, and then the rest are volunteers. And just like every other volunteer organization, we are seeing the decline in volunteers. We're also seeing the increase in call volume. So overall, Davidson and Forsyth, we run about 2,700 calls. The next closest combination department to us may run 1,700, 1,800. So we're growing, and the stress and demand is real on us, and just like everybody else with inflation and everything else.
Seems like a pretty high increase all at one time, does it not, Casey? I mean, you're almost doubling.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you take 1,500 people divided into $150,000, that's basically the price per head to cover a fire in that area.
I mean, most of the time we don't see a 4-cent increase all at one time. Go ahead.
Chief, are y'all fire and rescue, or just fire?
Fire, rescue, EMS, so first responder, medical on the medical side to the EMT level, rescue, we provide all the rescue services, and then fire, all the fire services.
What's your rescue level?
We don't do a rescue standard with the North Carolina Rescue Association, but we're high angle. We did go away from confined space to actually save money, because there is an entity that does that in Winston-Salem Fire. We don't do trench, we don't do underwater or anything, but the basics of high angle, the rope rescue, all the basic stuff we do perform.
Okay. But you're just
auto extrication.
You're not certified through the North Carolina Association of Rescue?
No, we don't do that.
Gotcha. Thank you. No further questions.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good night. All right, anyone else wishing to speak about the budget? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. We'll have our workshop on June the 6th, so thank you very much for your input. move on to the public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant. Mr. Walser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. So the Community Development Block Grant, better known as CDBG, this is a federal funded program. These funds come from the United States Department of HUD, and they come to North Carolina Department of Commerce. And then this North Carolina Department of Commerce's responsibility to put together programs and make those available to communities throughout the state. One of the main things we here in Davidson County has used the Community Development Block Grant for is for economic development projects. So in the event that the county would choose to apply for an economic development project for the CDBG funds, 2 public hearings are required. The first public hearing, which is just an initial public hearing, that public hearing only needs to be held once a year. So that's what this public hearing is for tonight. You hold this public hearing, it's good for a year. So throughout the rest of the year now, if you have a project that's for economic development that you would wish to apply for, then a second public hearing would be required. And it would be at that public hearing that you would disclose the company's name, the amount of money being applied for, the address for the project, and what those project funds would be used for. But again, tonight, this public hearing is just to get that initial public hearing out of the way for you.
Gotcha. Okay.
Happy
If you'll
to
have
answer
a
any
seat there on the front row, and if we got any questions, we will. We'll declare the public hearing open and see if anybody's got anything to say. I declare the public hearing open. Anybody wishing to speak on the Community Development Block Grant, please come forward. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Anybody got any questions?
I got one quick
For Mr. Wilson.
one. It's just a matter of me understanding something, Mark. The CDBG grant, I could probably ask Casey this tomorrow, but you're here.
Right.
Is that something we pay back?
No. I say that. It's based off job performance. So.
Performance based.
But we do have clawback provisions that protects the county, but in the event that the company failed to create the jobs, you would have to pay a prorated amount back, and then you would have clawback provisions that would allow you to recoup those funds.
Okay.
Some of those do have local matches though, don't they, Michael?
They all have local
match,
But they're real small, like 10% or 5% or something like that.
Infrastructure is about 25%, demolition is 25%, building reuse actually has 5%, so.
The reason I'm asking that is, I remember we had at that time, the industrial park, and we got the $7 million CDBG grant, which was actually a loan, we had to pay it back.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if CDBG represents that always, or is that special?
No, it's a different type of program for that, for the park. These are largely, we do build and reuse out of these things.
Right.
You know, somebody wants to rehab a building in usually Thomasville or Lexington, and the grant covers 90% of it or 95%, and we put up to 5%, and that's it. But there is clawbacks. It's just like an incentive at that point, where if they don't meet their requirements, we go after them. So it's just the money's coming from a different place, federal government.
Thank you, Mr. Walson. We got that public hearing out the way, so we're good to go. All right, we're gonna change staff up a little bit. Go for a little rezoning here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Madam and fellow Commissioners. Item 7C on the agenda tonight is a rezoning by Bill Barker. Mr. Barker extends his apologies. He had an unforeseen family emergency come up, and he's not going to be able to make it tonight, and he would request a continuance of his rezoning request to June 24th, 6:00 p.m. in this room, if the board can give me a vote on continuance.
Can I get a motion for that, please?
Motion to continue this public hearing to June 24th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I do need to excuse a couple commissioners here, don't I? I knew I was gonna do it sooner or later. Can I have a motion?
I better remind you again.
Yep. Can I have a motion to excuse Commissioner Elliott and Commissioner McClure?
Make a motion to excuse Commissioner Elliott and Commissioner McClure.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. right, we'll go on to 7D. Rezoning request by Stephen C. Skipper in Allegheny Township.
Yes, sir. We have a request by Stephen C. Skipper to rezone property located in Allegheny Township, tax map 21, lot 13, containing 4.13 acres more or less. Said property is located on the north side of NC Highway 49, approximately 1,978 feet from the Baden Lake Road intersection. That'd be west of the Baden Lake Road intersection. Rezoning is requested to change from that of RA2, Rural Agricultural District, to that of HC Highway Commercial District. You get the PowerPoint show up. If you would please divert your, if you want to open the public hearing up, Mr. Chairman, I will
I'll declare the public hearing open.
be glad to briefly explain where we're at here. This is NC Highway 8 right here. Here's Highway 49. You extend on into Stanley County here. I think Baden Lake Road cuts out right here. It's a little small commercial node right here at this intersection. Mr. Skipper wants to rezone the highlighted track 13 here in yellow to a general district highway commercial. I won't elaborate on his plans. He is in the audience tonight, and when the chair and the board's ready, you can step forward and explain in more detail.
Okay, I'm ready to hear. Come forward, please.
Good evening.
How are you?
Stephen Skipper. Nice to meet you all. So we live there at Baden Lake, and we've been out there for about 10 or 12 years. We've noticed some growth around the area and so forth and so on. I'm a GC in the area and have noticed, community needing certain services and so forth. So our plan for the site is to create a landscape supply place, a place where people can come get mulch, rock, different things that they need to dress up their properties. And there used to be one down the road. However, that person didn't really stay open pretty much, and the public kind of got a little frustrated because they were never open. He had decided to go into a utility business, installing utilities and developments and so. So after talking to some of the people in the community, I was able to acquire this property, and so come before you to try to have it rezoned so that I can open that business. As well, we're looking at doing a shop for our contractor business, a place that people can come and we can offer, building piers, doing additions for their houses and things around the lake. There's a lot of need for some different things around the lake as far as construction. A lot of people are having to come out of the Charlotte area, or they're trying to get people out of the Charlotte area because there is nobody local to do some of these things. So,
any questions for Mr. Skipper? Okay. Hearing none, if you want to have a seat on the front row, we might have some later.
Yes, sir.
Anybody wishing to speak in favor or against this application?
Did you say in favor or in opposition?
Either one, favor or in opposition, either one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Donald Lanier. I'm a half owner of the Bingham family on on 183 acres. It's on the south side of Highway 49. Wanted to express some concerns regarding the request. Our primary concern was that the request was for a highway commercial use, and things that fall within the highway commercial use in the event that the landscape supply company does not work out in the future. And if it's zoned a straight highway commercial, does that open this property up to at some point becoming a garage or some sort of business where we're bringing in cars, turning wrenches, having cars within the parking lot that aren't being worked on? What are we opening ourselves up if we allow a straight highway commercial versus the possibility of a special use permit for the landscape supply? I'm not in opposition to a landscape supply, But if I understand correctly, we're also considering doing building materials. Did I hear that correctly? Some type of retail for building materials as well? Or did I hear that incorrectly?
There would be some on-site storage according to the applicant's site plan, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, with that said, our primary concern for myself and Stan Bingham's heir, Laura, and Steve Bingham, who is 25% owners, I'm a 50% owner, was what we might subject ourselves to in the future if we do a straight highway commercial zoning. I know there's been discussion of the possibility, and speaking with various members within the planning department, that at some point it could be reconsidered for a special use permit only for this use and not a generalized highway commercial use. Other things I would like to address is there any sort of vegetative buffering? I know we're in a setback that we're trying to come up to the 30 feet. I know that the property is shallow on the, I guess would be the east end, and thus that's trying to utilize more of the property by pushing the setback up to 30 foot versus 50 foot. Do you know if we have a site plan showing any type of vegetative buffers, setbacks, placement of buildings, that type thing? There was also a concern of a commercial highway cut from DOT, whether or not that had been obtained. I don't know if that's a prerequisite prior to zoning highway commercial, should you have a highway commercial driveway permit. And in the event that it gets zoned highway commercial and you don't have a driveway cut permits per se, does that leave that standing open? I know it's also recognized as a scenic byway. Don't know what that does or does not do in this case, but with that said, those are the things that we wanted to address. Mr. Bingham and Ms. Bingham had asked me to come and speak on their behalf as well. My father was partners with the Binghams in the forestry business. That's how my father passed away, and I'm an heir to the property. With that said, my primary concern is what are we opening it up to if we go a straight highway commercial versus a special use permit? So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is that which one of those is the property you're speaking of on your?
All that down there.
I'm not sure, to be honest
It's lot
with
number
you.
2. Lot
Is
number
that the
2.
Bingham property?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes.
What's y'all's intentions with that property?
It's currently in pine plantation, 100%.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for this gentleman? No? All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
I'll be glad to try to answer some of Mr. Bingham's questions if it would please the
You can go
board.
ahead.
The decision to go with highway commercial is, I think, Andrew Summey was the zoning officer of record on this, and that decision was made because it is in close proximity to existing highway commercial, which the line's a little bit off. It's actually right here to existing highway commercial. The fact that the applicant was gonna have an outdoor storage facility warranted something more robust than just your rural commercial district. The rural commercial would not allow outdoor storage. And because your HC zoning was so close, and that's what's around the existing commercial node there at 8 and 49, that the decision was made to go general district. All very good points, Mr. Lanier. Scott Leonard of our office reached out to DOT, and we've got an email back from Mr. Tyler Wooten. This is a scenic highway. It's called Uwharrie Scenic Road. And I learned a little bit about this when we looked at the planning board, the research for the planning board. It does limit the ability to put outdoor advertising signs along the stretch of 49. You cannot do that. But it does not prohibit any type of, there's no development restrictions as a result of it being a scenic highway. So with that said, Mr. Wooten's email, he indicated that there were no limited access locations on this property. He hadn't seen an official application for driveway permit, but he didn't see any immediate concerns.
Right. What about vegetative buffering, any kind of screening, fencing, anything within that nature? The
county does have a landscaping plan in the ordinance. it's triggered by what the property is gonna be used for and what the adjacent uses are gonna be. If they are undeveloped property around this, there's no call for a landscaping buffer. The only thing they would have to do on the front portion of the property would be an 8-foot street yard planting, and that would just be a decorative planting along the street. So you would be able to see it. Other than that, it would be up to the discretion of the skippers as to whether they wanted to keep some type of vegetative screening there.
Are the other tracks further to the west, see the number 26 and further to the west, was that originally developed as a residential subdivision per se?
That I can't answer. When you say subdivision, it's residentially zoned currently. As far as it being a plat, I didn't do the deed research on 26. I think there is a house up here, way in the distance, but in the landscaping regulations, if you're over 100 yards away, 100 feet away from the property line, that property would be considered vacant. There's no use in planting screening next to existing trees.
Well, there was also from from the Binghams concern for what it may affect other residential tracts adjoining it.
Sure.
And what that may do.
Duly noted. Yes,
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else in the audience wishing to speak in favor or in opposition? You know, one point he brought up about the driveway permits. We don't have any control over the driveway permits now. I don't know what y'all's thoughts is that we require them to have a driveway permit before we rezone property. Is that even legal, or is that?
It's kind of like getting a property perked and getting it rezoned. You can do those, simultaneously. We do try to reach out to DOT when we have something commercial, because they've relaxed their regulations considerably over the last, 6, 8, 10 years. There was a time where you couldn't get but 2 driveways on a state road, no matter how big the property was. Now they're a lot more lenient with that, and they're not really requiring permits per se for residential development. They do still want to see the commercial development though, because those are used a little bit higher traffic.
Here's my theory. It's our job to decide whether the zoning meets or not. It's not our job to give a driveway permit. So again, if the state never gives them a driveway permit for a commercial entrance, then they're stuck with a piece of property that they'll be coming back wanting it rezoned to residential again. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So really, us requiring anybody to have a driveway permit is, we can't do.
If I may, I've contacted DOT and worked with them a little bit to talk about the property before I decided to come and try to have the property rezoned. Years ago, there actually used to be a flea market there, many, many years ago. Per DOT, the driveways that are there, they were comparable to the property, from my understanding. And to kind of get back to one of the questions about him, I intended to put like a 3-rail nice fence along the front of the property and dress it up with some planting, and it's not going to look like a everyday landscape yard.
Just so you know, the state may make you do a lot more than that for a driveway permit commercial. You may have a deceleration lane, or who knows, that costs several $100,000 to put in. But again, I don't know what they may or may not require for you. But
from my understanding, that wouldn't be necessary. From what I spoke to about 3 different people, but until everything is settled.
Speaking to the chairman's point, that there will be a driveway permit required because it is commercial activity, and whatever the state deems necessary, you'd have to comply with, just to make that a safe ingress and egress off the property for commercial activity.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So is next to number 7, that the only place where there's highway commercial? Is everything on the other side and everything underneath here all rural?
It's difficult to see, Commissioner Watford. These right here are residentially zoned.
Okay.
You do have highway commercial zoning here. This entire track is highway commercial.
Okay.
I think you've got some CS community shopping here. I know that this is highway commercial on the other side of the road. This entire track right here is highway commercial.
Highway commercial, okay.
Yeah, so there's commercial development on all four corners of that intersection.
Right.
And it is recognized by the county's, land development plan as a commercial node.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
It's
You're welcome.
very light, so it's hard for me.
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
to- But
Apologies
everything,
for that.
everything above seems to be not.
Yeah,
And-
4D.
And then, of course, the Bingham property is not.
That's correct. This track 7 is not, this track is, track 2 is not. It's completely surrounded by residential property. The closest highway commercial is right here. But there's some other commercial around, a little bit closer back into the, interchange.
Lee, one question, would light industrial work here for what he's doing, or, I know we've done that before simply because of what HC does open up. So would that,
Light industrial will allow retail sales, and that could potentially work.
But that opens up a whole nother can of worms.
It's got a whole list of permitted uses in LI that.
You're just
Yeah.
trading one for the other, so.
Okay. This is general district. Mr. Lanier's, astute in that aspect of it, that everything allowed in highway commercial would be allowed here. And just like, to your point, LI, anything in limited industrial would be allowed here if that was approved.
Anybody wishing to speak in favor or in opposition of this? Seeing none, I'm gonna close the, public hearing. What's staff recommendation on this, Mr. Crook?
The Davidson County Land Development Plan does recognize the NC Highway 8 and 49 intersection as a commercial and industrial center. I've already alluded to, NC Highway 49 being part of the Uwharrie Scenic Road. Doesn't prohibit development of the property. It does prohibit signage. Staff feels that this is on the very fringe of the designated commercial node as per the Davidson County Land Development Plan, and would cite land development, policies 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.7, 1.8, 1.16, 5.5, 5.6, and 5.7, which offer support for the request. I'd also cite Article 7 of the Davidson Administration of the Davidson County Zoning Ordinance, in that one of the rationales for a zoning change is changed or changing conditions in the area or in the county generally. The applicant does cite that the housing increase that's taken place not only in Davidson but a little further south in Montgomery County, which this intersection is the only way you can get there, would constitute changing conditions in my opinion, and would need a potential bolstering of service-related activities like this. The staff would recommend approval, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, any other questions from the board?
I understand that was a unanimous decision on behalf of the board, so.
This was heard by the, the planning board on May 7th, and it passed 5-0 unanimously to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I just have one other question. Lee, looks like there, I don't know if it's a creek, if it's a spring, I don't know what that is running through the, I guess
It's a creek, yeah.
okay. Is that like open creek? Is it underground, or?
I would defer to the applicant. I think that they are not gonna cross that in any way, shape, or form with their development, or they've indicated that.
It's an open creek, and it's more of a branch versus a creek.
Okay.
Creek, we will say that all the setbacks, and of course, one of the things they asked, in the planning board was, from one side of the property with the creek running through there, how would you get there? There is a culvert, a large 60 to probably 80-inch culvert there that goes along, that you can get from one side of the property to the other. And so, we don't really see any issues with, I've watched it to see how high the water level comes up, during some of these, and we didn't see any potential, reasons to alter the plans that we were proposing.
Okay, thank you.
I got one quick thing to tell you, and again, I don't know how this board will vote or whatever, but if this was to get approved, 49 is one of the prettiest roads that you can drive through in this county, okay?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, if you were, and I know you don't have any control if you ever sell it to somebody, what they do or whatever, but keep in mind that our citizens drive up and down that road, and it's one of the prettiest roads that they are out there. And if this does approve, do something nice
Yes, sir.
to make us all proud,
I agree with you
okay?
100%. I live in the area. I've been there for about 10 to 12 years now. I own about 50 acres, not too far from it, over in the Ori. And I've got a forestry management plan on my property as well, trying to preserve the land.
All right, that's a beautiful highway
Yes, sir.
in the springtime when all the flowers are coming out. All right, do I have a motion?
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the rezoning request and adopt the resolution on statement of consistency.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Say aye. All opposed? That motion carries. Good luck. Yep. Move on to E.
Excuse me. We have a request by Brad and Leslie Curry to rezone property located in Conrad Hill Township, Block A, tax map 18D, Lot 2, containing .33 acres more or less. Said property is located on the south side of East Center Street Extension and the west side of Queen Road. Rezoning is requested to change from that of O&I Office and Institutional District to that of RC Rural Commercial District. If you please divert your attention to the overhead. Paul Beck Road, we've got East Center Street Extension right out here. This is Finch Park. Lexington style trimmings used to be right here. So to get you acclimated, Mr. Curry is Abbott's Creek Surveying. His office is right here, and it's also included in this little highlighted yellow area. So we have a small little commercial node right through here that has some non-residential districts. I'll divert back to the board and let you open the public hearing for Mr. Curry to come up and explain what he wants to do with the property.
I declare the public hearing open. Mr. Curry, please come forward. How are you this afternoon?
How are y'all?
Good.
Just wanting to rezone it, setbacks is what, is the issue for me.
Why is the setbacks an issue?
So the current setbacks are 10 foot for a side. If I can go to, the RC, I've got a 0 setback as opposed to the 10.
What is those setbacks keeping you from doing? I'm sorry, I don't quite
So
understand.
it's a small lot that I've got to work with.
So are you gonna use it for parking, or you?
Well, what I'd like to do, I'm sorry, yes, what I'd like to do is, build another building beside of the existing building.
Okay. All right, any questions for Mr. Curry? No, hearing none, okay. If you'll have a seat there on the front row just in case,
I do have one from Mr. Crook. Please.
all right, let's see if there's anybody want to speak in favor or in opposition of this. All right, I don't see anybody. Go ahead with your,
Lee,
motion.
I think I got the answer to it, but I want to be clear on it.
Yes, sir.
Explain the setback when he says it goes from 10 to 0. Explain that to me.
All right, the existing zoning O&I has a front setback of 30 feet. It has a rear setback, I think, of 20. And then the side setbacks in an O&I, the distance you have to stay off the property line with the structure is 10. If you go to RC, the front and the rear stay the same, but you can go to 0 setback on the side, meaning you can go right to the property line. Of course, that calls into question all kinds of construction material. You have to up your fire rating and all of those types of things as per the building code, whatever that would require. So the reason for the request is to take this .33 acre lot, which the reason Mr. Curry can do this is the way it was originally approved. Mr. Curry has lots 2, 3, 4, and 5 as recorded originally on this Central Acres plat. I think it was from the 50s. And as long as that property is conveyed referring to the plat that it was recorded on as lots 2, 3, 4, and 5, those little 25-foot lots live. They're alive. They're buildable lots. They're grandfathered, so to speak. So his existing building comprises lots 4 and 5. If he gets this rezoned to RC, he's got 2 and 3 to be able to build on with a 0-foot setback. Scott and I sat down with this because this is an exceptionally small lot. We tried to poke holes all in this request. We can't do it. It'll work. Okay. We have building percentages that he can meet. He's already holding a septic tank permit, a preliminary septic tank permit for the new building on that site, and he should be able to meet the parking requirements with shared parking language in the ordinance over here on both sides. So we think he could utilize his land if this takes place.
He's not moving it forward to East Center Street to block the view or anything of that nature.
No, that setback would still remain at 30 feet.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. Nobody come forward, so I'm gonna close the public hearing. What's the staff's recommendation?
We would recognize this stretch of East Center Street as a small commercial node. There's quite a few differing businesses in there. We would recommend approval. This is Article 7 of the zoning ordinance. It is contiguous to highway commercial. And if this were to change to RC, rural commercial, you'd still have the daycare facility to the east here to serve as a transitional zoning district to the residences further to the east and south. We'd cite policy statements 1.1, 1.5, 1.7, 1.8, 5.4, 5.6, 5.7, and 5.11 to support the amendment, and we would recommend approval. This too was heard on May 7th at the Board of Commissioners meeting, and I think this one passed 5-0. It did, unanimously.
All right, thank you very much. Can I have a motion to either approve or deny?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second.
And to adopt the resolution. on
And to
second
adopt the
reading.
resolution at consistency.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right. F.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, yep. You're on your way to building a new building, so good luck. Move on to F, rezoning request by Davidson County Board of Commissioners in Boontown Township.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a request by the Davidson County Board of Commissioners to rezone property located in Boone Township, tax map 19, a portion of lot 8 containing 4.71 acres more or less. Said property is located on the south side of Belmont Road, approximately 1,380 feet west of the Southern Railroad Station Road intersection. Rezoning is requested to change from that of HI Heavy Industrial District to that of LI Limited Industrial District. I've got some additional information I'd like to read into the record before the public hearing's open, if the chairman will allow me. This rezoning request is intended to adjust the zoning for the relevant parcel of land on the edge of the I-85 Corporate Center to bring this portion of the I-85 Corporate Center property into alignment and be consistent with the I-85 Corporate Center as a whole and as planned, as well as contiguous property zoned as light industrial within the I-85 Corporate Center. Further, this is a general district request for zoning from HI Heavy Industrial to LI Limited Industrial. This rezoning request is intended to bring this portion of the I-85 Corporate Center into alignment with the adjoining LI within the corporate center, and all permitted uses with any LI district have been considered by this board and will be allowed on this parcel if this rezoning is approved by this board. A full list of permitted uses in a LI district has been distributed to each board member and will be included with tonight's minutes. However, by way of example, here are some of the examples of permitted uses allowed in the LI district: auto car wash, bottling plant, dry cleaning, box sites, furniture manufacturing, governmental offices, greenhouses or nurseries for commercial plant cultivation, laboratories, machine shops, commercial indoor recreational facilities, restaurants, warehousing, and wholesale storage. Additional uses may be conducted through development standard compliance or obtaining special use permit, all of which are set forth in the list of uses for LI districts as provided to this board. Thank you.
Thank you. I declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to speak in favor or in opposition, please step forward. Seeing none, I'm gonna close the public hearing. Staff recommendation, please.
Staff recommendation would be to approve the request. The Davidson County Land Development Plan recognizes this entire area as an economic development corridor. That went quicker than I was expecting, and I don't have my paper ready. I would submit my staff recommendation and all the policies as a whole array of them as evidence as to why this is a proper action to rezone this to industrial. It's also contiguous, which makes it compliant with our zoning regulations to expand an existing district. We'd recommend approval, Mr. Chairman.
It's going from HI to LI, so I don't see how that can hurt anything.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Chairman, can I interject one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Scott. Scott brings up a very valuable point. We've got two maps with us tonight of two different acreages. The request tonight basically is what's in crosshatch. If you'll remember, last month we rezoned this to LI. The tract that was laid out as tract, I think it's 5 of the proposed subdivision, is highlighted in yellow, but the crosshatched area is the only portion of that tract that needs to be zoned to LI. The board may want to, excuse me, I got my thumb going in the wrong direction. This is that same tract that's highlighted in yellow. Another option would be this tract, and I'll toggle back and forth so that you can kind of see the line move. The line kind of moves over here to the sewer lift station and runs along this easement. It would be my recommendation for the board to intend to do this entire 8 acres, this 8.448 acres. That way, if the individual that purchases the property purchases this whole tract, that way we can, the whole tract will be zoned limited industrial.
So does that mean we gotta come back, or can we do it now?
No, we do that tonight. Because we've noticed and posted and advertised for the entirety of Lot 8, we can change the acreage tonight.
And we need to do it all the way to the pump station easement for sure.
Yes. So staff would recommend this 8.44 acres be the intended rezoned tract.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
8.44.
8.
Under 8.5. Yeah, 8.448 acres.
Can I get a motion to approve this?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve, with the amendment that Mr. Crook made.
8.44.
8.44.
As depicted on the proposed map.
With a statement of consistency,
And
correct?
with a statement of consistency.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
That's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, consent agenda. Anybody wishing to remove anything off the consent agenda? Hear none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Proclamation 9A. Ms. Watford, will you read that, please?
I'll be happy to. This is a proclamation for the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, which is June 15th of 2024. And since I'm in this category, it applies to me and a lot of others out there. Older adults deserve to be treated with respect and dignity to enable them to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and vital participating members of our communities. In 2006, the International Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse in support of the United Nations International Plan of Action proclaimed a day to recognize the significance of elder abuse as a public health and human rights issue. And 2024 marks the 18th annual World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Its recognition will promote a better understanding of abuse and neglect of older adults. And the National Center on Elder Abuse and Davidson County Department of Senior Services recognizes the importance of taking action to raise awareness, prevent, and address elder abuse. And as our population lives longer, we are presented with an opportunity to think about our collective needs and future as a nation. And ageism and social isolation are significant causes of elder abuse in the United States. And recognizing that it is up to all of us to ensure that proper social structures exist so that people can retain community and societal connections, reducing the likelihood of abuse, and preventing abuse of older adults through maintaining and improving social supports like senior centers, human services, and transportation will allow everyone to continue to live as independently as possible and contribute to the life and vibrancy of our communities. And where there is justice, there can be no abuse. Therefore, NCEA urges all people to restore justice by honoring older adults. Join us in our engaging and empowering movement and put an end to abuse. We of the Davidson County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim June 15th, 2024 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Davidson County and encourage all of our communities to recognize and celebrate older adults and their ongoing contributions to the success and vitality of our country. And I offer that as my
Motion? Thank you, Ms. Watson.
I'm having an elder moment.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And Katie Sprayberry is here. Good old Katie.
Yeah, I want Katie to say something. Let her.
You're asking too much.
Oh, no, she's got her card.
She's gonna talk. She's got her card.
All right.
You asked me to speak.
I asked
You
you to
shall have
speak.
it.
That's right.
But this is a topic that deserves to be spoken about. As you know, abuse can take many forms and no one is immune. According to the Department of Social Services, only 1 in 5 of these crimes are ever discovered. And just in 2023, 438 reports of abuse were made here in Davidson County. So Senior Services likes to take this opportunity, and we appreciate you highlighting it as well, to spotlight elder abuse and try to put an end to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Katie, just one question. Is it still, I know it was a big thing at one point in time, a lot of the caretakers of our elderly were some of the biggest, what's the word I'm looking for? Abusers of our elderly. Is that still the case?
Absolutely. Unfortunately so.
All right. Let's get
She's gonna make talkative when it really talkative.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting.
We know you can do it now, Katie. We expect it every time.
Casey, you want to lead 9B off?
Yes, sir. You've got 9 applications for 4 vacancies for the Planning Committee for Aging Services presented before you, so I think they're looking for those vacancies to be filled.
Has anybody got any recommendations on those appointments?
That's what I'm looking for.
I just don't know anybody but Sheila Killebrew, you know. I know she would be great.
Y'all just want to,
And Alton has moved to the front of the room. He is the chair of that committee.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well,
I didn't know they were on here tonight, so I'm looking at you today. Is there a deadline?
Let's just postpone it till the next meeting.
yeah, let's postpone it.
Want me to put it on for the 6th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk about it in our
Okay.
next meeting.
Okay, so Just a consensus for June sixth?
Yep.
Make sure Al's got the agenda for the next meeting.
If anybody knows somebody and they want maybe somebody to serve, they can ask them to put an application in as well, so.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. 9C.
This one will be a quick one. We've gotten an email from the Association of County Commissioners that it's time to start working on legislative goals for the next biennium. And we do have a shorter window this year. They want the goals submitted by August the 23rd. So I just wanted to put this out on your all's radar screen to be thinking about goals that we would like to submit. And I'll put this back on for the July meeting date so we can sort of put some things together. And then that would give us, if we need to move it to the first meeting in August, we'd have time to do that as well.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you.
Motion to go into closed session?
We have a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. can I have a motion to come back in?
Motion to
open-
come back in to open
Second,
session.
second? Do I have a second?
Second. Sorry.
All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Attorney, would you, give us a report, please?
Yes, so the commission went into closed session, to discuss a, real property matter.
Okay. Is there anything else,
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
You got anything, Mr.